What happens when a duchess walks onto a talk show thinking she owns the place, only to get reality checked by a host who refuses to play her games? In just 38 seconds of pure chaos, one entitled guest went from smiling for the cameras to being escorted off set after an outburst so shocking, the producers had to cut to commercial. This is the moment Meghan Markle's mask slipped on live television, and you're about to hear exactly what went down. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because we're pulling back the curtain on royalty's dark side. We're exposing entitled celebrities and their shocking behavior the cameras never showed you. We've got the raw footage they don't want you to see, and you won't want to miss a single reveal. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think about this outrageous behavior, because this one is absolutely wild. So picture this. The studio lights are blazing. The audience is settled in their seats. Piers Morgan is sitting across from Meghan Markle, ready to have what everyone thought would be a polite conversation. But oh, you have no idea what's coming. Nobody did. This interview was supposed to be about her charity work, her new projects, the usual celebrity stuff. Soft questions, easy answers. Everyone goes home happy. That's what her team promised. That's what the producers expected. But what actually happened? Complete and utter chaos. Piers starts off friendly enough. He's welcoming. He's professional. He does what any good host would do. He smiles at her and says, "Meghan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's wonderful to have you here." She smiles back. That practiced, perfect smile. You know the one, the smile that says, she's done 1,000 interviews just like this. She crosses her legs, adjusts her designer dress, and says, "Thank you for having me, Piers. It's lovely to be here." Everything seems fine, normal. Just another day on television. The audience is clapping politely. The cameras are rolling smoothly. But Piers, being the journalist he is, he's not just going to lob softball questions all day. He's not going to let her come on and just promote whatever she wants to promote without asking real questions. That's not his style. That's not why people watch his show. So he starts with something simple, something that should be easy to answer. He leans forward slightly and asks, "So Meghan, you've been in the public eye for quite some time now. How do you handle the criticism that comes with that level of fame?" Reasonable question, right? Anyone in her position gets asked this. It's basically a free pass to talk about resilience, about rising above negativity, about focusing on the positive. Easy answer, but watch what she does. Watch how quickly this turns. She tilts her head. Her smile gets a little tighter, a little faker, and she says, "Well, Piers, I think it's interesting that you're focusing on criticism right away. Is that really where you want to start this conversation?" The temperature in the room just dropped about 10 degrees. Piers, to his credit, doesn't take the bait. He stays calm. He stays professional. He responds, "I'm simply asking how you deal with it. Many people in your position face public scrutiny. It's a valid question indeed. But Meghan, she's not having it. She shifts in her seat, and there's this look in her eyes, this flash of something. Annoyance? Entitlement? Whatever it is. It's not pretty." She says, "I think what you're really asking is why I don't just accept being torn apart by the media. Why I don't just smile and take it. Is that it?" Nobody asked her that. Nobody even implied that. Piers literally just asked how she handles criticism. That's it. But she's already spinning it into something else. She's already playing the victim card, and they're only 2 minutes into this interview. Piers tries to redirect. He's still being patient. He says, "That's not what I asked at all. I'm interested in your perspective on navigating public life. That's all." She lets out this little laugh. Not a real laugh. One of those laughs that says she thinks she's smarter than everyone in the room. And she fires back, "Right. My perspective. Because you're so interested in actually hearing what I have to say." The audience is getting uncomfortable now. You can feel it. This isn't fun anymore. This isn't entertaining. This is awkward. This is tense. People are shifting in their seats. The producers in the control room are probably freaking out. And Piers, he's trying so hard to keep this on track. He takes a breath and says, "Meghan, I invited you here for an honest conversation. I'm giving you a platform to speak. So please, tell us your perspective." And here's where it really starts to go off the rails. She looks directly at him, and her whole demeanor changes. The fake politeness is gone. She's not even pretending anymore. She says, "You know what, Piers? I don't think you actually want an honest conversation. I think you want me to sit here and let you attack me. I think you want me to be your punching bag so your ratings go up." The studio goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. The audience doesn't know whether to gasp or stay quiet. The cameras are still rolling, catching every second of this meltdown. And Piers, bless him, he's still trying to be professional. He's still trying to salvage this. He says, very calmly, very clearly, "Nobody is attacking you, Meghan. I asked you one question about handling criticism. One question, and you've turned this into something it's not." She's not listening. She's fully committed to this narrative she's built in her head. She interrupts him. On his own show. She says, "Don't gaslight me. Don't sit there and pretend you're being fair. You've been gunning for me since the moment I sat down." Gaslight. She actually used that word about a guy who asked her one simple question. Piers is visibly frustrated now. You can see it on his face, but he's not yelling. He's not being rude. He's just being direct. He says, "Meghan, with all due respect, you've been here for less than 5 minutes, and you're already accusing me of things I haven't done. I haven't attacked you. I haven't been unfair. I asked you a question, and you responded with hostility." True. Completely true. Anyone watching this can see it. But she doesn't care about truth right now. She's too deep into her own drama. She throws her hands up and says, "This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the problem. You people always twist everything. You people." She said "you people" about a host who's been nothing but professional with her. The audience is stunned. Some people are whispering to each other. Some are just staring with their mouths open. This is not how these things usually go. This is not normal behavior. Piers, and you have to give him credit for this, he doesn't explode. He doesn't match her energy. He stays level. He says, "I haven't twisted anything. I've asked you questions." That's what happens in an interview. You answer questions. She stands up, actually stands up from her chair. In the middle of the interview, the camera operators don't know what to do. Should they zoom in? Pull back? This isn't in the script. This isn't planned. And she points her finger at him. Actually points at him like he's a child being scolded. She says, "You know what? I don't have to sit here and take this. I came here to talk about important issues, and all you want to do is make me look bad." Piers, still seated, still calm, says, "You're making yourself look bad, Meghan. I'm just sitting here." Burn. Complete and total burn. And it's true. He hasn't raised his voice once. He hasn't insulted her. He hasn't done anything wrong. He's literally just sitting there while she has a complete meltdown on live television. But that comment sets her off even more. She glares at him with pure fury and says, "How dare you? How dare you speak to me like that? Do you know who I am?" There it is. The question, do you know who I am? The most entitled, out of touch, revealing question anyone can ask. The question that shows exactly what kind of person someone really is. And she just said it. On live television, in front of millions of people. Piers raises his eyebrows. He's almost amused now. He responds, "I know exactly who you are. You're a guest on my show who's having a tantrum because I asked you about handling criticism." The audience gasps. Some people start clapping. They can't help themselves. Because he's right. He's absolutely right. And everyone can see it. Everyone except her, apparently. Her face goes red, bright red. She's shaking now, actually shaking with anger. And she shouts, "This is unbelievable. I have never been treated with such disrespect in my entire life." Piers just looks at her, dead in the eyes, unblinking, and says, "Really? Because from where I'm sitting, I've been nothing but respectful. You're the one who's been hostile, accusatory, and now you're shouting. So perhaps we have different definitions of respect." That's when she loses it completely. And I mean completely. She grabs her microphone, rips it off her dress, the wire snaps, the sound guy in the background jumps because that equipment is expensive. And she throws the microphone on the floor, just throws it down like a toddler throwing a toy during a temper tantrum. She yells, "I am done. I am done with this. I am done with you. I am done with all of this." The producers are scrambling now. People are running around backstage. The audience doesn't know whether to react or just sit there. And Piers, cool as a cucumber, just sits back in his chair and says, "Well, that's unfortunate. We were just getting started." She turns to storm off the stage. But before she goes, she spins back around. One final parting shot, and she shouts at him, "You are a horrible person, Piers Morgan. A horrible, bitter, small man. And everyone knows it." The audience is in shock. Complete shock. Some people are covering their mouths. Some people look like they want to leave. This is uncomfortable. This is painful to watch. But Piers, he just smiles. Not a mean smile, not a mocking smile. Just a smile that says he knows exactly what just happened here. He knows she just showed her true colors to everyone watching. He says very quietly, very calmly, "Thank you for coming, Meghan. This has been very revealing." Very revealing indeed, because everyone just watched a grown woman have a complete emotional breakdown over one simple question. One question. That's all it took. 38 seconds of her showing exactly who she really is when things don't go her way, when she's not praised, when she's not worshipped, when someone dares to ask her something she doesn't want to answer. She storms off the stage, her heels clicking loudly on the floor. You can hear them even without her microphone. Click, 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 getting quieter as she gets farther away. And then a door slams. Loud, echoing through the studio. She's gone. Piers turns to the camera. The audience is still sitting there in stunned silence, and he says, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all just witnessed something quite extraordinary. We invited a guest here for a conversation. A normal, simple conversation. And what we got was an absolute meltdown over a question about handling criticism. I asked one question. One. And that was the response." He's not gloating. He's not being smug. He's just stating facts. And everyone knows he's right. The audience starts clapping again. Louder this time, because they just watched him maintain his composure and professionalism while his guest completely fell apart. He continues, "You know, it's fascinating, truly fascinating, when someone can't handle basic questions. When someone reacts with such hostility to simple inquiries, it really makes you wonder what they're trying to hide. What are they so defensive about? Why are they so angry?" Good questions. Really good questions. Because her reaction was so over the top, so completely disproportionate to what actually happened. Normal people don't explode like that over nothing. Normal people don't accuse their host of attacking them when no attack occurred. Normal people don't throw their microphones and storm off the stage screaming insults. Piers shakes his head slightly and says, "I've interviewed some of the most powerful, most famous, most controversial people in the world. Politicians, celebrities, business leaders, activists, people who have faced real criticism, real challenges, real scrutiny. And not one of them, not a single one, has ever behaved the way we just saw. Not one." He lets that sink in. The audience is quiet again, listening, absorbing, understanding what he's really saying here. He's saying that someone who truly handles criticism well, someone who truly has substance and character, doesn't react that way. They don't fall apart. They don't attack. They don't run away. So what does that tell us? He asks. Not really expecting an answer, just posing the question. What does it tell us when someone can't even make it through the first question of an interview without having a complete breakdown? What does it tell us about their character, about their maturity, about whether they're really the person they claim to be? The cameras capture everything. The empty chair where she was sitting, the microphone still on the floor where she threw it, the stunned faces of the audience members, and Piers, sitting there, completely composed, letting the weight of what just happened speak for itself. He leans forward, looking directly into the camera, and says, "You know what the saddest part of this is? We genuinely wanted to have a conversation. We wanted to give her a chance to speak, to share her views, to connect with the audience. That's what this show is about. Real conversations with real people about real issues. But you can't have a conversation with someone who doesn't want to have one. You can't have a dialogue with someone who only wants a monologue. You can't have an exchange of ideas with someone who thinks any disagreement is an attack. Truth, pure truth. And everyone watching knows it. Everyone saw it happen. There's no spinning this. There's no way to rewrite what just occurred. The cameras caught everything. The microphones recorded everything. This is what happened, plain and simple." Piers continues, "I want to be very clear about something. I did not attack that woman. I did not insult her. I did not disrespect her. I asked her a question, and her response was to accuse me of gaslighting, to call me a horrible person, to throw her microphone, and to storm off the stage. That's not my fault. That's not the fault of anyone here. That's a choice she made, a choice that reveals everything you need to know." The audience nods. Some people are still clapping periodically. They're on his side, completely on his side. Because how could they not be? They just watched the whole thing unfold. They saw who was reasonable and who was unreasonable. They saw who stayed calm and who lost control. He sits back again and says, "You know, there's an old saying, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Well, she just showed us who she is. And I, for one, believe what I just saw. I think you do too. More applause. Louder now. Because yes, everyone believes what they just saw. There's no question about it. This wasn't edited. This wasn't taken out of context. This was live television. This was real time. This was exactly what it looked like. An entitled person who couldn't handle being treated like everyone else. Piers gestures to the empty chair and says, "That chair represents something important. It represents the opportunity to be heard, to share your voice, to have a platform. Millions of people would love to sit in that chair. Millions of people would love the chance to speak to this audience. And she had that chance. She had that opportunity. And she threw it away. Literally threw her microphone on the ground and walked away. Because what? Because I asked her about criticism? Because I didn't worship at her feet? Because I treated her like a normal guest instead of royalty?" He's making excellent points. Every single one landing perfectly. Because that's exactly what happened. She expected special treatment. She expected to be praised and adored. She expected soft questions and endless validation. And when she didn't get that, when she got treated like everyone else, she couldn't handle it. Here's what I think, Piers says. I think some people get so used to being surrounded by yes men, so used to everyone agreeing with them, so used to never being questioned, that they forget how to have a normal conversation. They forget that the rest of us live in the real world, where people ask questions, where people disagree, where people don't just nod along with everything you say. True. So incredibly true. And the audience knows it. They live in that real world. They face questions every day. They deal with criticism every day. They don't have the luxury of throwing tantrums when things don't go their way. They have to be adults. They have to handle themselves with maturity and grace. Piers looks directly at the camera again and says, "If you can't handle one question, how are you going to handle real life? If you fall apart over a simple interview, how are you going to handle actual challenges? If you think being asked about criticism is an attack, what do you call real adversity? Real hardship? Real struggle?" These questions hang in the air. Powerful questions. Important questions. Questions that really make you think about what just happened and what it means. He shakes his head one more time and says, "I've been doing this job for a very long time. I've sat in this chair countless times. I've asked tough questions to tough people, and I will continue to do that. Because that's my job. That's what journalism is supposed to be. Not softball questions, not propaganda, not worship. Actual questions, real inquiries, genuine dialogue. And if someone can't handle that, well, that's their problem, not mine." The audience gives him a standing ovation. They're on their feet, clapping, cheering, because he's right, because he did nothing wrong, because he maintained his integrity and his professionalism while someone else completely lost theirs. Piers stands up too. He buttons his jacket, straightens his tie, and he says, "Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for witnessing that remarkable display. And thank you for supporting real journalism, real conversations, real questions. We'll see you next time, and hopefully our next guest will actually make it through the first question." The audience laughs, a release of tension after all that drama, and the show cuts to commercial. But the damage is done. The moment is captured. The truth is revealed. Everyone saw exactly what happened. Everyone knows exactly who was in the wrong. Piers walks off his own stage with his head held high, dignified, professional, composed. Everything she wasn't, everything she couldn't be. He did his job. He asked questions. He maintained standards. He refused to bow down to entitlement. And he showed everyone watching that you don't have to accept bad behavior just because someone thinks they're special. Meanwhile, somewhere backstage, she's probably still fuming. Still convinced she was wrong, still believing she's the victim, still unable to see that her own behavior was the problem. That's what entitlement does. It blinds you. It makes you think everyone else is wrong and you're always right. It makes you incapable of self-reflection, incapable of growth, incapable of taking responsibility for your own actions. The crew starts cleaning up the set. Someone picks up the microphone she threw. Someone straightens the chair she was sitting in. Someone resets everything for the next segment. Because the show goes on. Life goes on. One person's tantrum doesn't stop the world from turning. But the internet? Oh, the internet never forgets. By the time the show ends, clips are already circulating. People are already talking, already analyzing, already sharing their thoughts. And the consensus is universal. She made a fool of herself. She showed her true colors. She proved every criticism anyone ever had about her being entitled, difficult, and unable to handle reality. Piers doesn't need to say another word. He doesn't need to defend himself. He doesn't need to explain what happened, because everyone saw it. Everyone knows. The truth speaks for itself. His calm, professional demeanor speaks for itself. Her explosive, childish behavior speaks for itself. This is what happens when someone who thinks they're above everyone else gets treated like everyone else. This is what happens when someone who expects worship gets asked normal questions. This is what happens when entitlement meets reality. It doesn't go well. It never goes well. Because reality doesn't care who you think you are. Reality doesn't care about your titles or your status. Reality is reality. And some people just can't handle that. Piers proved something important today. He proved that you can maintain your integrity even when someone is attacking you. He proved that you can stay calm even when someone is losing their mind. He proved that professionalism matters, that standards matter, that treating people equally matters. And he proved that you don't have to apologize for doing your job correctly. She, on the other hand, proved the opposite. She proved that she can't handle basic questions. She proved that she sees herself as above normal standards of behavior. She proved that when things don't go her way, she throws tantrums. She proved that she's exactly what her critics always said she was: entitled, difficult, unable to take responsibility, unable to handle reality. So there you have it, the most dramatic interview meltdown in television history. 38 seconds of pure chaos. One question, one simple question, and everything fell apart. The mask came off, the truth came out, and everyone saw it happen in real time. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because we're going to keep bringing you these moments. These real, unfiltered, shocking moments that show people's true characters. We're going to keep exposing bad behavior, keep holding people accountable, keep showing you what really happens when the cameras are rolling and people forget to pretend to be something they're not. Drop a comment below. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you think she was out of line. Tell us if you think Piers handled it correctly. Tell us your thoughts on this absolutely wild situation, because this is the kind of behavior that deserves to be talked about. This is the kind of entitlement that needs to be called out. This is exactly why we do what we do. This was the interview that shocked the world. The meltdown nobody saw coming. The moment when entitlement met reality, and reality won. Piers Morgan stayed professional, stayed calm, stayed dignified. And she? Well, she showed everyone exactly who she really is. And sometimes, that's all you need to know.